Teams, teams, teams. You hear the story, you hear the mantra. How do you do it? The reality of an awful lot of teams, you have this academic perspective, which is what the textbook provides. We're going to talk about the academic, but as I've committed to you before, my game plan is to provide you two things. One, the academic ability to make certain you do well in this class. The other part is I want you to carry something out of this class into the real world that's going to keep your attention and be useful to you years to come. We're going to talk about that. What are teams? There are two or more people. They have to have some type of purpose. And the purpose should be in writing. The purpose should be agreed upon. It should be clear as to exactly why you're meeting. Don't waste people's time. They have other things they can do to make the company successful. If you just have a bunch of slop and let's meet because we're supposed to. That's not what the criteria should be. It should be for accountability, and people need to make certain that they're part of a team. So we'll talk about how to go about doing that. Permanence, I have to tell you, the idea of bringing 5 people together and meeting 5 times in your team doesn't cut it. The truth of the matter is a team, to have a real good, solid, functioning team, it really takes 18 months to 3 years before they're in rhythm. We'll talk about what that means, about the 4 traits of how to build a team and what they go through. A big part of a good team is you have a lot of skill diversity. By that, if everybody's in marketing and there's nobody in manufacturing there's nobody in the advertising area, which is often very separate. There's nobody in human resources and there's nobody in finance in that meeting. You may be missing some key skill sets to make certain you accomplish your objectives. Have some diversity. And then how much decision-making is distributed throughout the team? Sometimes teams are too big. You don't need a whole bunch of people to make a decision. Sometimes you need 2 or 3 to make a decision, but they need to have the ability to make certain there's support through it. A couple things on decision-making. If you're going to have a decision made, you need to have the horsepower behind the decision to push that decision forward and have the buy-in by other people within the organization. That actually is a major function of teams. Authority dispersion, how much ability the team members have to make decisions. Here's a lot of times you have the formal organization, but you also have breathing underneath the layer, unofficially, an informal organization. I call it a grapevine. They whisper among each other, and sometimes things leak nonstop. You think that it had a bucket full of holes in it. You have an idea, and by the time your meeting's all done an hour later, the whole organization knows what happened in the meeting, even though it's all confidential. It happens that way. You got to plug the leaks. Sometimes, though, you use those leaks to help your agenda. I was director of operations for a large community college district, the largest one in Michigan. And so I ended up being in charge of the 5 different campuses as director of operations of all the business offices. One of the things happened, I had to go to this one campus and I didn't want to do it. I knew they were cooking the books in an area, and no, they weren't sneaking money. They were just doing some things they shouldn't be doing. And so I was going to go over there. And by the time I was done, I expected to do some formal disciplinary action for the sloppiness on the books. I didn't want to do it. Generally, they were good people. Their former boss just hadn't done a good job of holding them accountable, and I intended to do that. So I found out the head grape at the district office, and I got in a cubicle on the other side, and I told the guy that was there, he says, okay, you play along with me. You know what? I have to go over to the orchard over there. I'm going to go talk to them. And frankly, I can't picture not walking away with some discipline, suspension, maybe even firing. They've had the books like this over there, and I'm done. I'm done with the cover up. I'm going to go fix it once and for all. And I'm saying this knowing that the head grape of the grapevine was on the other side of the wall. I'm going to go there tomorrow, probably about noon. Well, I went there 2 days later, and miraculously, the head grape had whispered over the phone to them that I was coming. And when I checked everything out, it was in good shape. I didn't have to do anything. They were terrified to death when they walked in the door. They were all working ferociously on their tasks and assignments and everything else, and everything was nice. I used that informal group that I knew about to my benefit. Instead of it being a bunch of whispering gossips in the background, they actually conveyed good information that saved me an awful lot of work and saved a couple people some formal disciplinary action. It would have been really nasty if I had to go in and deal with the issue. I did in an informal thing. That's just kind of cleverness on the job, but pay attention to the fact that you have a formal organization, you have formal groups, you have informal groups. They will always exist. And I've tried to put them out. You almost can't stop them from existing because people like to just talk. And a lot of it is just a matter of they want to bond, they want to be part of a group, they want to go out and hang with people at lunchtime. Use that to your advantage and pay attention to how it works. Teams, the advantages I've mentioned before, the more people involved with the decision, the better the quality of the decision, but also the more people you have that will sit down there and support the decision as they go out of the meeting because they had input into it, and you'll have more bodies and more horsepower behind that decision out there, and you can actually get that decision dispersed throughout the organization much faster with a group than one or two people doing it by having a directive. The challenge is some people are better than the teams are for some tasks. Sometimes you just got to have a person, hey, can you go ahead and do this and have it done? The biggest thing is that thing called process losses. Process losses, if you have 10 people and you call them together for a team, some of them don't need to be there. And the fact that they're there, their eyes are glazing over and they have no input into it, all of a sudden they could be doing something more appropriate and get work done because they're in that meeting. You stop them from completing work. It's a waste for the organization. Knock it off. If they don't need to be there, give them permission to leave. Just make certain that you try to avoid the process losses. Otherwise, you'll have that critter called social loafing. They goof off. People are on their phones. They're going click, 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 click. They're over here. Says, oh yeah, and you lose them. Somebody may sneak off in the corner and whisper into a phone. Somebody may step into the hallway, and you lose them. And something important happens. Then they come back in the room. If something important happened, they should have been there. You got to repeat it. Okay, pay attention to the process losses. Stop the social loafing by having a tight agenda and boom, 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 boom. Don't loaf. Don't goof off. Have a clear focus agenda with what you're going to do. Otherwise, the individual performance is hidden with that social loafing. The work isn't motivating for anybody. Everybody knows what's going on. That person's disconnected, and you got to bring that person back into connection or get them off the team. Call them out on it. Don't be shy because of the fact that if you're a leader, sometimes you got to sit down there and tell the truth. And the truth might be that person's out there. You might have to take them outside and talk to them specifically. One time I was in negotiations and I had to deal with somebody who really lost it. I was the chief human resource officer, chief negotiator, and I had been the year before the chief business officer for a budget of $800+ million. So we're in negotiations, and somebody on my team, a chief of police, said we're in negotiations with the police union, and we're coming through, and the union says, well, what is this about? So my chief opened his mouth and says, it's about the bean counters have taken over. I looked over. I said, excuse me, hang on just a minute. I called him into the hallway. I told him, he says, I think I was out of line. I said, no, I don't think you were out of line. You're off the team. I don't need your input anymore. You're gone. I kicked him off our negotiating team, and I came back in, and everybody realized, says, well, where's the chief? I says, his services were no longer needed for this team. The whole room got quiet. We got negotiations done really fast. Everybody sat there and paid attention to it. He was social loafing, he was disconnected, and he was a waste of time. He actually worked to our disadvantage, but I turned that disadvantage into an advantage for our team that really helped in the aspect of, boom, let's snap to it, let's get this thing done. A lot of times you will want to form smaller teams. I call this thing the 2 pizza rule. If your team is so big, you can't feed everybody with 2 pizzas, your team is too big. Now, it depends on the leader. I can handle teams. I've had them up to 40 people, and that's a lot of juggling. It's not uncommon in higher ed, because higher ed, everybody babbles and stuff because we all talk. Okay, so the teams tend to be bigger. but you're better off having a team 4 to 8 people. Once you get past 8, you have to have some experience and some solid skills to manage a good team like that to make it productive. It just depends on your skill set. You'll find that the more times that you have a meeting and the more productive you want to be, you go with a smaller team, but develop that experience in the process. Specialized tasks. One thing is I always hold my team members accountable. We all have a duty by the time we're done. At the end of the meeting, we've gone through our agenda, which is laid out prior to that. They all saw what we're talking about. They all had a chance to put their items on the agenda for our team meeting. And so, boom, we open up on time. We close on time. At the end of the meeting, the very last item we do is who's going to do that? Sue, you're doing this. George, you're doing that. Keisha, you're doing this. Okay, we go down the list as to who's doing what. And I want it done by the next meeting, if not before. We put the deadlines right in the minutes. And then prior to the next meeting, about 3 days before, we send the minutes out because, to be honest, most people, they sit there and say, oh, I kind of forgot what it's supposed to do. You give them a couple days advance notice and they work furiously and get it done so they're not embarrassed, because I will call on them to say, how's this going? How's this going? That's the first item on the next meeting, what they finish. Hold people accountable, measure the individual performance. When everybody gets the hang of what your expectations are, it is incredible. They're going to meet those expectations and you're going to have a much faster functioning team. Instead of 18 months to 3 years, you're going to have a functioning team in about 3 to 6 months if you play your cards right in the aspect of laying out clear expectations, and people will look forward to coming to the meeting and getting things done. People will pay attention to the team obligations and they become more motivated. They look forward to team meetings if you have a productive team that moves forward. A lot of it is you want to organize your team environment, a lot of communication, organize leadership, structure, physical space, have a party when you achieve something. And the party doesn't have to be a painful experience. It could be food. It could be just everybody coming in and doing something really stupid in the meeting, putting hats on. We've done that. Celebrate a birthday. Have some fun. Make it fast fun because everybody respect their time and be done at the end of your meeting. On team design, try to pay attention to the size and the composition. Who's there? What are you supposed to accomplish? Keep true to your charge. If your charge doesn't fit, then modify the charge. If your charge is done, stop meeting. I've done that and it's shocked. I think we're done. We've accomplished this. What do you mean we accomplished that? Here's our charge. Okay, but we want to continue. Okay, what do you want to do? Let's put it in writing. Let's make certain we have this. We'll do our draft here. We'll come back next meeting and change our charge, make certain that we're still in sync with what we're supposed to be doing. I've had that happen multiple times, but they want to stay together because they know they're getting stuff done and they're happy with that. Satisfy the members' needs. Team environment, have a good communication system, have a structured leadership, have a structure for the team itself, have a space that's theirs for that time without people interrupting, and have some type of reward system. Make certain you define the purpose. The more diversity or the more knowledge that you have access to, the better off you're going to be. Make certain that there's not process losses, or if there is one, that you make certain that the team is rewarding. So the persons that are there, they'll be rewarded in the aspect of actually gaining time because they accomplish a lot of their personal tasks for their job. Social loafing is from a lack of team focus. Build tight agendas and focus on the time. Those people that come on, they just yap in meetings. And if you haven't experienced that, I promise you, you will. A good leader lets them talk a little bit and says, okay, this is the topic. You have to bring them back to topic. You'll find it's harder to do the bigger the team, but the more experience you have, the better off you're going to be, because part of a leader's job on a team is not to waste the team's time because it's valuable and you don't want to have process losses. You want to have a production increase in the amount of teamwork and the individual work and moving the whole organization forward. Teams. And yes, they could be fabulous. Make certain, though, you respect everybody's time. Take care.